So let me introduce everybody. Starting next to me, you've seen her being Erica, Ghost Whisperer, now is Bo. Please welcome Anna Silk. From CSI New York, Covert Affairs, Human Target, you know her as the Morrigan, which I hopefully pronounced that right, and hopefully pronounced your name right, Emmanuelle Vaugier. Next, the creator, which sounds very powerful by the way, the creator. I have some things to ask you about that later. Michelle Lovretta. Firestone. Stephen Finney, production exec from Showcase, who's here somewhere. And associate producer Vanessa Piazza, who has been instrumental. Now we begin. You saw how I kind of sucked at explaining the premise of the show. Michelle, why don't you take over for me and do a much better job of explaining? Kind of lay out for those who haven't seen it before. What is Lost Girl?
On top of what you said, it is kind of a concept of a woman with a different, unique kind of sexual problem. In that her partners do not survive it, and when she wakes up, she keeps waking up with dead people, and at first sort of internalizes it and thinks she's bad and it's sort of the journey of her discovering that no, in fact, she's part of a larger, more mysterious culture at the core. And that there are people out amongst us called Fae, and they prey on humans in wild and wacky ways. So that is season 1.
So they come up with pills for every other sexual problem. Surprise! They have not come up with that.
We did try that. We had needles.
Okay. Call Spicer.
Yes.
We're working on it right now. I'm curious about, and Jay, maybe you can address this, the origination of the concept a little bit, because it has familiar elements, but it's a totally unique way of looking at different characters. How do the concepts come about?
I produced a number of shows for women. I produced the original Nikita for USA Network a long time ago. And I've done a number of shows, and I set out with the network, that guy over there that got introduced Vinny, to find something original that was a strong female character that embraced sexuality, and it was a challenge. I have to tell you, a number of people brought me ideas that weren't great. Okay, the standard routine was to get something super vixen, tough, dirty, filthy sort of stuff. Fun, but not Michelle. Michelle got the challenge, she got the mandate, she came up with the succubus, and she came up with a world and has made my life fantastic. So.
And it was fun.
It was a search. We were searching for something.
Is it hard to sell, because it seems like there's not a lot of them on there, of female empowerment shows, and that's kind of a trite way to put it, I guess, but to find shows with women in the center of it who are as tough, as flawed, but as tough as any guy. And I don't know if it's harder to get one of those shows through.
I think it's harder in film, but not in television. And I'm personally a huge television fan and genre fan. I'm really thankful for that, because it's a medium where we have all, I'm sure everybody in this room, we all have our favorites, and we all have shows that have spoken to us that were genre shows. And for whatever reason, genre tends to be, in my opinion anyway, kinder. It's more embracing. We can be kick-ass and still be the friend. It's kind of liberating, and I don't see that often as much in film, sadly.
And I'm kind of curious, when you first heard the pitch for this part, how does somebody go, all right, here's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You're going to have sex, you're going to suck the life out of it, guys.
They got a lot of different guest stars. This week is our first pitch. Prepare yourself.
Yes, it is a lot of people. When I first heard, I got the script and I got the story breakdown, and I thought, okay, tough, sexy, all those things. But what I loved about Bo was that she was, as strong as she was, and as tough and cool, and way cooler than I am. But she was really vulnerable. Michelle created this character that was really, really vulnerable and scared. And I could relate to that. And I think that's what audiences have related to, and that's really what drew me to her. Thanks, Michelle.
It seems like, I mean, with her character, there's kind of two driving forces. One, the search for parents or search for identity, which I assume is a key, like something you enjoyed about doing, right? That's a layer that must be kind of interesting to deal with.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, at the beginning of the series, Bo learns that she's part of this, that she is a succubus, that she's not human, that she's part of this Fae world, and that answers a lot of questions for her, but it opens a lot of new questions. And part of that is the search for her, where she came from.
And you're being fought over by both sides of the Fae. That's got to be kind of flattering.
It actually kind of is, yeah. And yeah, I mean, Bo doesn't align herself with either the light or the dark, but she's a lot more powerful than I think she even realizes, which is really cool, and something that we're definitely exploring in the second season, which we're filming now.
If you had to choose between light and dark yourself, which way would you go?
No, neither.
Oh, okay.
No. Come on. I would never answer.
Well, it's very diplomatic. However, Emmanuelle, you've already made that choice.
And how?
Happy with that choice?
Very happy with the choice. It's more fun to be bad. Don't you think?
And we do it very well.
That means you've all been bad, by the way. Wait, there's some questions for you guys later. But maybe describe your character a little bit.
I play the Morrigan, who is the leader of the Dark World. And she's deliciously evil and fabulous and vain, and she runs a record label and feeds off of... That's funny, right?
You're supposed to find that out.
I have a good sense of humor too, and that she's really, she likes it. Anyway, so she feeds off of the energy of young artists and leaves them dead in her wake, which is really the difference between the dark and the light Fae. Is light Fae doesn't kill off their victims. I do.
Somebody has to.
Yeah, somebody has to. Not everybody gets to live. They should.
I can imagine the size of the cast. That would be we kind of moved around a little bit, but maybe Michelle, you can talk a little bit about the world of the Fae. Like, what is that world like? What are these kind of opposing forces?
The original concept, which we basically stuck to, is the nomenclature we use is Fae, but anybody that's familiar with mythology and folklore has already been able to tell this is not the classic Fae that we have all read of. It was basically taking a concept that the folklore creatures from all the different cultures around the world, so this was a window for us to be able to explore, different sides, different cultures, all are of a piece. They're all one species, and through that we've been able to also really go through our old geek books and kind of open them up and be like, what is some really fun stuff to get into? What are some cool creatures we haven't seen in a while? And we first, when we developed this, how many years ago was this? It's a long time coming. This was 4 or 5 years ago, so it was before the vampire stuff started coming out, and we were so thrilled that it did, because it really helped us, because people kind of mistook it at first as being related, so it kind of, was embraced a little bit more, and then they realized it was actually going to, different territory, different creatures. So it's been a lot of fun for us. It's something that we can use, giving Anna strange new creatures every week to make out with. So, it's got its advantages.
And I've written a note down that there's such a thing as a vocabulary, like a little bit.
I think. I'm sure we have some.
Well, it's developing because we decided that the fans out there want to make sure we do this for real. So we try not to do anything in the series that doesn't actually exist in folklore. So we're developing that as we go by researching what actually exists out there.
As a jumping off point.
I didn't realize that. Seems like it must be kind of fun to do research like this.
Oh, it's crazy fun. Yeah. No, you waste actually way too much time in the writer's room where you're all going, oh my god, look at page 36. And there's some crazy shit out there. There's some stuff we haven't done yet because I can't figure out how we do the effects. There's a guy with an intestine head. There's some good stuff.
I think I want to get into the books later. Because I need to get reading. Are you guys all, it sort of occurs to me, genre fans, genre people, kind of working our way down? Is it something that you've always liked and so it's nice to be working in this, or it's something new and you're kind of learning to adjust to it?
Well, I've done a pretty wide variety of stuff, but this one is just a riot. It's fun. Everybody on the set is laughing, fun. Ask Anna how much fun it is every single day on the site. I've never had a crew that comes to me every day and thanks me like I do on this show.
But you've done a lot of genre too. Because you had
Well, I've done a lot of genre because it's just, because it's fun. But on my feature side, I did some pretty basic, cop stuff, things like that. So this is just totally fun.
I think genre's always more fun.
Yeah, I love this kind of stuff, and I would consider myself a twihard. Any twihards out there? No? Seriously? I'm the only one?
I am. I'll admit it.
Somebody is paying for those movies, okay?
What about True Blood? Any True Blood?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I like you now. But yeah, I love this genre. It's a lot of fun. You get to play, so.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was totally new in terms of performing in this genre. But I love it. I love it. I had a book when I was growing up called Fairies, and I was really intrigued. The creatures were dark and sinister and really intrigued me as a little girl. So it's a total dream role for me.
I mean, so when you're talking about humor, it just reminded me of watching, there was a couple episodes, first I think it was like the second one, where the Will-o'-the-Wisp is, it looks like my grandfather. It was hysterical. I mean, and I assume that was the idea, to make it very light and very funny. And an episode, which I think is later, where you guys go to a country club, or like the swingers club place, wearing the polo shirts and stuff, which was just like hysterical. So watch for that when you get to see it. Very fun. But, I mean, is that important? I mean, for you guys as actors too, to kind of leaven, the strangeness of the characters. Do you enjoy the humor that you get to do?
Yeah, I mean, the humor is really an important component to the show. And as the actors, we get, every time we get a new script, we're just like, this is so cool, this new creature that we're going to get to fight or make out with, in my case. Yeah, exactly, why not do both? Which I often do, actually.
Now, I mean, one thing, actually, I did a panel yesterday where the discussion came up about what makes something more appealing, what makes it kind of an obsession people want to keep coming back to, and we kept talking about character and relationships. That's what, you can throw every vampire in the world, but if there's not interesting characters and they talk to each other in an interesting way, it becomes Twilight. But anyway.
Jay, I know you're a twihard. You've done it.
Nah. Taking actors in there.
And I apologize to all the stars of Twilight who are here with us today. But is that, I mean, the relationships that you guys have come up with are very, unique, I think. And I think that's a deliberate thing, too, that to take it beyond just being a genre show is what you've done with the characters and relationships.
Yeah, I think, I guess the 3 F's of what we try to put in the show is fun, friendship, and fornication. That's what we do. We kind of reorder them each episode, which we focus on, and a lot of it, frankly, which I love doing the most out of them, is, we like the fun, but it is the friendship, I think. Whether it's the friendship between the 2 girls, whether it's the friendship between people that are, primarily lovers, but then are being torn apart. It's, that sort of stuff I think is the grease. So yeah, you can come for the fun. You can come for the. It's not, at least in my opinion, an insanely risky show at all. Although it's cable and edgy and all that, but so you can come for that if you like. You can come for wardrobe. You can come for a beer. Don't just come. But there's a lot of stuff in it that goes beyond just the concept of what she is and the fact that it's got some sex to it.
And speaking of sex, which apparently we are now, is that fun for you to have like that? Because there's. it fun or is it nerve-wracking or both?
Both. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting when we shot the first episode, and I remember, Jay, you were on set for that scene, because we were trying to figure out the succubus kiss, you know, what does that mean? So it's interesting, because that first guest star got a lot of kissing time. Now people come on and I'm like, okay, this is how it's done. I'll show you. But yeah, with those kinds of scenes, you just have to kind of embrace that side of yourself and go for it.
Well, you know, the one thing I find kind of fascinating and appealing, just as much as like how if she touches somebody, they get that little warm, fuzzy smile on their face. Do fans come up and want to like hold your hand now?
Wouldn't it be great to really have that power? Yeah, no one's really afraid of me, but I like to think I can somehow be charming enough to do that. But it's a really cool power to have on the show, and you know, Bo really learns to, you know, embrace that and use it, and that's who she is. It's what she is.
I think we have a clip that sort of illustrates that a little bit. We can get to the clip.
They made me do that. They made me do that.
I'm not old enough. That's what happens. So they can't play it because I'm not old enough to see that sort of thing. Maybe you kind of want to have more of this sort of stuff for your character too?
Yeah, like what's up? I don't get to have sex or kiss anyone.
No, I'm only just realizing that now as we're talking about it. So like, you don't have to give me much love.
Yeah, no, I don't get any love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not on
Probably
screen.
too much for them.
Like a bunch of dead people.
Yeah. Yes.
We can arrange that. Actually, you know, I say that, but like actually shooting those scenes is fairly uncomfortable at times, or most of the time. Yeah.
When Chris and I shot that scene, it was honestly more like a stunt. It was exhausting, but it was pretty cool.
Can I tell the story about your audition? One of the reasons when we were casting the show that one of the things that really stood out is when we put the actor that plays Dyson opposite Anna, and they did their little audition. There was a pretty passionate kiss, and they smashed the wall. They backed into the wall, smashed it, plaster fell, they left dents in the wall, and they got back and they had no clue they'd done that. It was at that moment when I said he gets the part. I'm serious, that's not a story.
Those are tough screen tests. Was it, Jay, I don't know if you could maybe address this, when you try to sell a network on a show like this, with that kind of content, was that kind of tough? It's, you know, it's like Cinemax after midnight on Fridays.
Well, I have to be honest, there was the guy sitting over there was one of the guys that we sold it to, so he was, they were very supportive. The network was very aggressive. They were willing to take risks. Selling it everywhere else was tough. Right? When we first started this, and I went around in the States, everybody said, you know, they thought it was a vampire, they thought it was a werewolf, and I tried to explain how different it was, and they thought it was a bit dirty, maybe. But after we did it, they all started calling me. So 3 or 4 networks actually did on the show.
Okay. That's, so it's like additional. Another element to it, which we haven't talked about, the character of Lauren, which has
We got Team Lauren out there.
And I guess I can sort of address that. It's unusual to see that kind of a triangle on a show, and I don't know if that's, you know, another reason the role is kind of appealing to you, because you get that layer that most shows are never going to get to.
Yeah, I mean, I think what does appeal to people are the relationships on the show, like you spoke about. And I love that, you know, Bo has this love triangle that is a lot more complicated than most love triangles. And the relationship with Lauren is a really special one and a really important one for Bo. And Zoe Palmer, who plays Lauren, is amazing to work with, and just captures Lauren so well. So it's a really, I love that it's such a real relationship, and you really see a lot more of that in season 2, potentially.
Was it hard to get that element in as well? I mean, that's, you know, another sexual element that might be tough to sell networks on too. They could,
Well, actually, you don't like my sales pitch, do you? I used to go around saying she's good, she's bad, she's bi. And that was my intro in every network. And I actually had downloaded a presentation tape onto an iPhone, and I walked around the network showing them. And that got them, they said, we wish we could buy this. And everybody was afraid of it at the beginning.
it sounds like the perfect sales pitch that everybody would say, I would do it, but I can't. And everybody would say,
And I had some of the biggest networks saying, we love this, we wish we could do it.
has it become easier? I mean, now that it's out there, you've done the season with everybody we'll get to see here soon. Is it easier? Do you get those calls, people going, God, we should have, that sort of thing?
Well, I can tell you there's 2 networks that are sad they didn't get it.
We won't name them.
Out of respect, I can't tell you.
But is there any plan, because you're kind of out there, Morrigan and she and Bo have anything?
Oh yeah, we're planning it already. After this conversation.
No, the point hopefully would work.
Sorry, that was a good one.
The point with both sexuality, ideally, at least from my point of view, regardless of what people buy it for, was for that to not be the point of the show. And we've worked very hard at it not being something that's ever discussed, not something any character has an opinion or care about, because they shouldn't. So she's allowed to just kind of be who she is and figure it out and fall down like the rest of us along the way. And she's a lovely mess, I think, in season 1 as she tries to figure it out. But it is the heart of Bo is about love, not. I was going to quote a Kenzie line, and it's probably too rude to say here. It's not about that. It's about this. Hopefully, people will see that and embrace that and come for the right reasons. But the fact that they come at all is a wonderful thing.
I mean, it seems like something that clearly kind of drives fan interest in that is just exciting to have that element. Which makes me kind of wonder if we could just go down the line with fan reactions that you've heard since the show has been on.
I know that you 2 ladies are on Twitter, and you've probably heard a lot of stuff.
Yes. the fan reaction has been amazing. I mean, just walking in here today, you guys, it's really great. And I love that what's interesting about meeting some of the fans is it's such a diverse group of people, that watch, and that it resonates with so many people. And that's what I think is so cool. And I love that the internet fan base is so vocal. Like, everyone really pays attention, and they have certain relationships they love and certain characters they love. And I really like that dialogue that I see online, because I do read it. And that's been really, really amazing.
What have you heard?
I agree. I mean, there's an incredible fan base online, and it's fun to read what everybody's saying about the show and their insights, and me too. It's like, I do read it. So it's not somebody else sitting there going, oh, well, what am I going to answer for? So it's fun to respond to certain things and to see what people have to say about the show. Because again, it is like a very diverse group of people, and it's amazing that a show that isn't on the air yet in the States, and you guys are all here supporting it, so it's really cool. It's really exciting. So yeah.
Do you guys get similar, I mean, not on Twitter, but do you get responses of fans who know what you do, something going, wow, like they talk to you for 20 minutes about something?
I'm a hermit, so I don't encounter the people very much. I'm just typing, but I read their stuff. I just stalk you guys. I can just Google it and not actually be on Twitter. It's nice. But we've heard the thing that I'm going to say the dorky word here, jazzed about is that the fan videos. Because I'm just a huge geek, and so I always loved that stuff. I never had the wherewithal to kind of have the technology to do it myself, but the fact that people, right from the early beginning, were cobbled together pieces of our show and making their own kind of little stories, and then they'll get, people writing fan fiction and all that kind of stuff. In the end, it's, well, like, I can't speak for the writer, but for me, it is kind of the ultimate dream. The fact that you have, just in your own weird, lame way, come up with something that they kind of see something that they want to explore through it, and I'm done now. Like that's amazing. The fact that some people are actually moved to use this product that you've created to create something new, I think is amazing. So thank you all for that.
I'm curious to know, the nature of that connection, though, and I had actually made a note, right, that something that seems to me is that there's a lot of relatability to a show, which is odd to say about shows about succubuses, you know, various things. I'm clearly not studying my vocabulary. I need to get that book out. I mean, it's odd to think of it as relatable, but I think maybe especially with the character of Bo, and you guys can all address this, is that part of what has caused this intense connection with the fans, do you think? Or is there another reason why it's really connected?
Well, actually, I think we've tried to use real relationships in the show every episode. We put it in a fantasy world, but these are all real issues that everybody deals with. So I think that's what everybody can relate to. I think everybody in this room probably has a story that relates to one episode in season 1, and if they don't, they will in season 2.
I mean, even at Morrigan, you can imagine it's just like a really bitchy boss.
You love me. Well, yeah, it really gives me the opportunity to sort of explore. I mean, because if you're just bitchy, then it's kind of one-dimensional and boring, but she has a great sense of humor, and, you know, I've had the pleasure of opening up scripts and going, oh yay, to have so much fun this week, it's so great. Just like 3 weeks ago, I was so thrilled. Because she just, like, the scripts are wonderful, and my character is so well sort of written, and I get to do fun stuff and be a little over the top, which I don't always get to do, so.
I like watching you clowns. When you walk in, that first scene, it's like your hair moves with it. It's just, your whole body is just like, get out of here.
I'll have to do one.
Is there any of you in the Morrigan, or, you know, other way around? How much overlap is that?
Shut up, Jay. I think there's a lot of me in Morrigan and a lot of Morrigan in me. There has to be. I mean, otherwise you're not creating a true character that's true to yourself. It's, for me, whatever character I play is really who. If I were to be this person, what attributes that I have or aspects of my personality do I bring to this? And do I have to pick out and whether they're likable traits or not, explore for this character? So
There was a reason she didn't have to read anything or audition at all, because we knew exactly what she was going to do.
I think there's also, I'm intense Anna Silken, and I have to say, there's a lot of you in Bobo, which is surprising to me because, you know, the character didn't change drastically from, you know, what was originally in my head to once we were cast. And I think you've just brought this really nice, rounded, goofy sweetness at times, which is great because you mean that. Yeah. Thanks, Michelle. I relate to Bo. I love Bo. You know, she's just has so much heart and such a strong. She loves her friends. She loves her lovers. You know, she's really protective of this instant family, this instant weird family that she now has, and I love that about her. Thank you.
You guys can bond here. There's a lot of action, though, a lot of physicality to this part. You enjoy that? I know that's something you've done a lot of before, or suddenly you get there and go, all right, you gotta throw guys up against walls and stuff.
I hadn't done a lot of it before. I've done a little bit, but that's really cool. I mean, I get to do, you know, I get to throw giant guys around and just go flying. And I think one of my favorite fight scenes to shoot was in episode 8 with the Morrigan in our bathroom, which is a really intense fight. And she was this stunt girl who was really strong, and really, it was a really intense fight for me, especially the underwater stuff, which I'm not so good with. That was cool. So I really love that part of the show.
Well, oddly enough, I actually have some questions, but I believe we might have a scene that relates to what you just discussed. So we have that clip. We can get to it.
last year, so I have to say, each time that I was up there, were my favorite.
Very wise. And one from Nolan said you guys have done a great job of taking mythical characters and giving them a twist. So for the actors, how do you navigate taking something that's a well-known or a mythical character, but putting your own kind of personal stamp on it? Is there anything, with each of your characters that you put your own kind of stamp on?
Well, I think, when you play a succubus, I think you can't like play a succubus. You play the human side of what that means, and that's kind of what I gravitated to with Bo. She just happens to be a succubus. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
Not often. But, how about for you? Is there?
I feel with the Morrigan, a lot of it was about. I was thrilled to be able to portray a female character that uses her feminine wiles and her inner strength and power to her advantage, and I think it's fabulous.
You do it so well.
All right, we can get to questions if you guys have some. All right, go ahead.
Hola. Sorry, it's freaking me out a little bit. Damn it! I apologize for the cursing. Yes. Oh, yes. What I love about the show is that, she's bisexual, but that wasn't immediately, that's not part of her character. It's just like, oh, look, there's a succubus, so of course she's sexual, of course she digs everybody, so it's not like, oh, look at the bisexual hero, blah, 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 blah. That's what I love about it. And then I love the whole dynamic between you and the character of Lauren and the character of Dyson and blah, blah. But what I was wondering is if that triangle is going to get a little more, because I didn't really feel like there was any tension in the triangle. I was like, were they even aware there was a triangle? Because she's just hooking up with one and the other, and so is there going to be tension in the second season or anything?
We definitely, that triangle definitely gets explored further in season 2, and there's a lot of changes for Bo, but we definitely see more of Bo and Dyson and more of Bo and Lauren as well.
More of you Steve is coming.
But I love that about that relationship too. It's not highlighted that there's a bisexual relationship. It's relationships. It's just that's part of it. I love that.
It gets a little more complicated.
Hi, I'm here from Canada. I just wanted to say that you're the most gorgeous panel I've seen today.
Thank you.
I never get that.
Thank you as well. I just had 2 quick questions. I'm wondering, because season 1 was so beautifully written and so, the sexuality of the show I thought was very, very important. And I was just wondering, is that going to be re-edited when they show it in the US? And when are we going to get to see season 2 in Canada? And I love that you all tweet, and I love the Buffy reference, by the way. The secret ingredient is love. I actually...
All right, SyFy channel very nicely said you're doing a good job. Keep doing it. It will not bother you. So there has been it probably took a little while to get them to say that. And let's just say, I'm not talking to you until you agree. There will be a few words gleaned, I understand. But we haven't really restricted the language yet. It gets on the air September 4th in Canada. SyFy hasn't given us a firm date yet, but I'm speculating in the conversations we've had that it'll be January.
Thank you.
Hi.
So, first, thank you for being sex positive. Sex is this bad thing that we have to hide away from. The comment before and the comments about bisexuality going unmentioned, sort of for me, sort of shows in the Fae world there's a lot more tolerance as long as you're not human, pretty much. All the scenes in the bar where there are people, they're Fae of all different kinds, dark, light, and vastly different. Could you comment at all about that sort of those issues of acceptance, amongst civilized men?
Well, I think it's definitely a running theme of the show, but something you just hit on there. What's interesting is that as much as we can say that sexually the Fae, are a little more open-minded, the fact that they eat humans and look down on non-succubi or if you were to fall in love with a human, shows that even in our world, nobody's perfect. Every culture is going to have their own biases. Nobody's so evolved that they don't have this inherent need, and I don't understand it, and I'm sure no one here does, to, find a second to look down on. So the Fae are actually a little more brutal about it because they'll then eat you. No. So, but we did certainly make a concerted effort. Actually, efforts straining it. We had the liberty, thanks to Showcase, that we could just be us. And I think that the panel and the people behind the scenes are all people who just believe that and are sex positive and just sort of think that message inherently ourselves. So putting it on the screen was a no-brainer. And it's a privilege for us to do it, and we're really thrilled that now it's going to be in America.
Hey, thanks. Can't wait for season 2.
Thank you.
I was just kind of curious, do you feel that you're spearheading a new genre? Like there's vampires, there's werewolves, but succubus has kind of been off to the side, ignored, and by you trying to get it popular, you're going to have to go backwards at first, meaning those characters started out scary, and they've gotten more popular with the public, they're making them more sexy. You're already sexy. You're going to go backwards to get the public to get interested.
Right.
And come back.
Would you like me to field that? I think in general, yes and no. I think that I don't expect that there's going to be an onslaught of succubi out there. Incubi will be the new thing in 2012, who's to say? But I think in general, it's a very specific type of story that you have to tell. Not just those vampires. There's a specific thing you fall into, but I'd be thrilled if there was more of it out there. I think in general, though, I think what the follow-through might be is more just that I'm assuming, and you guys correct us if we're wrong, but I'm assuming the fact that it also is cultures other than our, specific one in North America that we're also bringing into it is also part of the appeal that maybe it would be nice if some other shows also, brought that in as well. The fact that it's from all over, folklore from all over, versus just specifically, will everybody say we have to have a succubi show? That probably won't happen. But maybe dealing more openly with some of the sexual issues might, as a knock-on.
And hopefully there'll be Lost Girl of the trilogy in theaters near you.
Succubuses should have equal rights, by the way. They're very,
Yes.
very an oppressed minority. So thanks for speaking up.
Hi. There are a lot of supernatural shows right now that are trying to be sexy and all that stuff. But what I really love about Lost Girl, and what I feel like also separates it besides just the whole bisexuality thing, is that it puts a really large focus on the relationship between Beau and Kenzie. And I feel like that's not something that you see with female characters on TV or movies. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what made you decide to take that approach instead of the, putting an overall focus on a love triangle, True Blood or all that other stuff. And also, if there's anything that you're able to tell us about where Kenzie's headed in season 2 since she's not here.
Okay, we'll jump into some of that, and everybody else jump in when you have any. What is it, the Brechtel test? Is that how you pronounce it? It's something that's important to me, that you are able to just be a chick and talk with another one, and then it might actually involve things other than occasionally the guy. And I think that the heart of the show, there's so many things going on in the show, but for me, the most important relationships, a lot of them in my life have been my friendships. Really deeply important, and I never recognize, I don't know about you ladies, but I see a lot of shows on TV where I don't recognize my friendships in high school and college. I don't see the solidarity, I don't see the support, I see a lot of cattiness. I wasn't that girl, I didn't know that girl. So the fact that we have Bo, who is strong and kick-ass, and when she saves Kenzie, the two of them save each other. And the fact that so much of the heart is about continually saving each other through all their screw-ups, through all the dangers, and that they become sisters. It was very important for me that the sexuality didn't bleed into that relationship as well, that we could say that's enough on its own. It doesn't have to always end up in bed, no matter who you're with. Like it can just be the fact that you've chosen somebody to be one of the most important people in your life, and that's your best friend. I do think from the comments that we're getting when you guys read your Twitter feeds, and I read over your shoulders, that friendship is something that a lot of people have not found elsewhere and are coming for, and there is more of that in season 2. And in terms of where Kenzie goes, what are you going to say?
Well, do you think she should have a boyfriend? No take.
Did she steal her own boyfriend?
We're having a lot of fun with Kenzie in the second season. Actually, you're going to learn a lot more about who she is, her past, her fears.
Do you want to say anything in about your sort of...
Yeah, I mean, when Bo and Kenzie meet in that first episode, you know, Bo thinks of herself at that point as a monster. She doesn't know what she is, and here's this girl who saw what she does and didn't run away. You know, she said, I saw what you do, and it scared the crap out of me, but I like you, and let's hang out. So we get a real shake. That's what she did. And it sort of became this instant family, and I think it's more than sisters. I mean, it's just this incredible friendship, and they just have each other all the time. Because I mean, we have a hard time any kind of emotional scenes we have with each other. We cry a lot. We're weepy.
I have a Kenzie question, by the way. What's the hair budget like for Kenzie?
Growing.
Okay. That was her idea.
Or the change of constant?
Yeah, we had dinner in New York, and she said, I want to change my hair regularly.
Never, I mean, unless there's no explanation, just...
No, it was her idea. She said, I think I would.
It's hysterical.
Hey, well, I'm sorry. First of all, Emmanuelle, you're beautiful, and if you're like I am, that means a lot. That's all I can say. Anyway, really quickly, where can we get the Canadian version online? Is there like a website we can go to get before we get it on SyFy in January here in Morrigan?
Legally is the...
But I think most of the people here can tell you where you're from. We're the 9th most pirated show ever.
Okay.
That doesn't do me any good.
It's like a multi-layered question, so a lot of people probably know where I'm going with this. How old is Kenzie?
Mm-hmm.
And how old is Detective Hale?
you want me to answer? Okay.
Because I can't answer the other one and still be appropriate.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. We all know that trope and genre. His age is more. She is less. Whether that is a problem is I think in the end, she probably, and we discussed this early on, I think that she was about between 19 and 21. It changed between the pilot and when we actually shot episode 1, which was about a year and a half after we shot episode 8. And Hale is, don't quote me, I'm going to say 500.
That sounds totally acceptable. I'm just wondering. I just want to know if Detective Hale's a real love. Because he seems like to be the guy on the side who should have, could have.
I agree.
Not really.
I'm a huge Hale and Casey fan, and I can say that in season 2, we learn in episode 2 some interesting stuff about his.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah, about his backstory. So.
And you'll learn a lot more in episode 20. Oh, you
I don't know.
each one of you, if you could you like to be a Fae? And which would you choose?
If I could bring my friends and family with me, I think it would be a sad and terrible thing, which they're all going to encounter. You're going to see Kenzie die. I think of that every time I see the two of you in a scene together, and that at some point we have to deal with the fact that Kenzie knows that. Unless, you know, she gets you in trouble and gets you killed. So, yeah. I don't know what type I would be. There's just far too many, but I like hers. But you don't know what hers is yet. You'll find out in season 2, but that sounds kind of interesting.
I think I would be exactly what Bo is. An unaligned succubus.
That just sounds so cool. What about you?
I agree with Michelle. I'd want to take my friends and family with me, but if I would stick with the darker light, I think I kind of like the dark. Maybe I'd do less killing. But other maybe okay, I killed it. Just occasionally.
Don't do it.
So maybe amount of killing. Maybe if we, yeah. I was gonna say just animals, but I'm a big animal activist. This is not real, by the way. So yes, if I bring my family and stuff, it'd be fun.
I do love Chris, and he does an amazing job of dicing, and yeah, maybe a shifter.
Ooh, a little bit of both. Can you have like a hybrid? Like a shifter mixed with something else?
Yes. Well, we could
Okay, all right. I got a lot to think about.
Season 3.
Well, most producers are Fae.
I think it goes without saying.
And Dark
I
Fae.
actually don't want to tell you what my power is right now. It's season 5.
All right, well, I think we can wrap it up here first. Coming soon, the show, for those of you who haven't seen it, it really is actually amazing. It's one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. It's funny, there's action, but it's just fun. And I love watching it. So you guys who haven't seen it, you got something in store. Those who have, you'll watch it again, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Comic books for everybody. Second, please let them know what you think. Give them a big round.